Hi, this is Kristen Arnold. I'm your happy panel moderator. And today we are playing Would You Rather? You know that game that you used to play on a board? You've got 2 questions. We've got some questions and we're asking our panelists, would you rather keep everyone on in your company at reduced pay during the pandemic and potentially go out of business? Or number 2, would you rather lay people off, hoping they come back when business opens? 1 or 2? Count. 1, 2, 3. We have a difference of opinion. Okay, let's go with the minority report. Anne-Marie, why?
Well, the question was, would you rather? So I would rather keep everyone. And in a perfect world, I would rather keep them and hope that our company would succeed. As a business owner or a manager, I would have to pick number 2 because that's the wise thing to do and hope that everyone comes back. But I would definitely rather keep everyone.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, when you say it rather, absolutely want to keep them on. But you know what, allowing people the time, when they're off, and hopefully you can either, in some countries, there was incentive programs to keep different people on, etc. But by allowing them to be off for a period of time, maybe you can allow them, like some of the hotel companies did, off for 3 months and then bring back a colleague for 3 months. And I also found that some people on our team actually ask for the time off because they're like, I need to focus on this, or I need to take care of a parent, or my kids are being homeschooled, so I can't commit to this. So if you need a volunteer, I'm financially fine, so please keep person A versus me. So I think there was a little bit of collaboration. Obviously in our industry, we've been devastated, and the amount of furloughs is heartbreaking. But at least for the meantime, our skill set is transferable, and a lot of our industry friends are getting picked up by other industries, and hopefully when they rebound, they'll have missed us so much that we'll have great talent coming back to us. What do you think,
And
Johnny?
I would rather have a really strong company and move forward with that, and then hopefully bring people back. It's horrible every which way you look at it, and to me, it's the lesser of the evils, but they're both bad choices.
Did any of you have to make that choice?
Did.
And how did that feel, Joni?
It's heartbreaking. And we had a little bet earlier who was going to cry first, and it's probably going to be me since you made me talk. But we can't have gone through what we just went through, between the stresses of our company and our business, and laying people off and furloughing people. And, every time I canceled a hotel contract, it would break my heart because I would think about the bellmen and the maids and the wait staff that were getting laid off. And canceling with a DMC, you think about their staff and their downstream suppliers. So every move, every day was negatively affecting someone. And, for a solid, let's say 10, 11 months, there wasn't anything positive. It was just negative. And it was heartbreaking. It was absolutely heartbreaking.
Anne-Marie, you're shaking your head.
Well, I agree completely. I don't think I could say it better than Joni. And that has been one of the hardest things of this whole situation, is how it affects other people, and watching our very talented friends and vendors and suppliers suffer, as we did, as everyone did. But to make those decisions, and as Joni said, I completely agree, for the health of your company, to hope that your company will survive and that you will be there to bring those people back, and hopefully they come back. But it will be completely different. So heartbreaking, I couldn't think of a better word.
And for the entrepreneurs, we have so many entrepreneurs in our site community, and some of these have taken over from their family businesses, and they've had to make the decision that they're not returning to this, or they've totally transitioned to a whole other industry as well. So it's hard. I know for me, we talked earlier about the survival guilt as an employee that's been held on with the company, but as an entrepreneur, you feel this guilt of, I own it, I should be able to save everybody, kind of, woman, that's kind of my mentality. I should be able to solve everybody's problems. And at some point, you've had to make the tough decisions of, do I shut down my company? Is what is best for my family? So, thankfully we haven't done that, but it's, when you see more and more announcements of, of people's lifelong businesses shutting down. It's heartbreaking.
But I would also say, I think it's deepened our relationships with our suppliers, our vendors, our partners, because I've made hotel calls where you're just so thrilled that the person is on the other end. You're still there, and that almost brings you to tears. So we have a whole different relationship of really caring about people and how their day-to-day job is affecting their life.
And I hope that continues though, because we're having so many great conversations and people are so understandable about canceling the partnerships that the hotels and the DMCs and the cruise lines have all demonstrated to the corporate end user client that we work for. It's been great, but I hope, you know, rolling to 22 and 23, that the people that we work through continue to understand the value of the partnerships that these people have sacrificed for so long. Because, you know, there's, now that we're kind of rolling into the second year, I was listening to an Event Industry Council webinar this morning, and they're basically saying globally that the 2021 events industry, unless there's rapid improvement on vaccine rollout, is, you know, we're going to get business travel back. We've got leisure travel back. We're seeing meetings, but it's not going to recover until 22, 23. So how do we keep everybody not taking care of themselves? Because I can already see inklings of it, of people just looking out for themselves, and I hate to see that.
I was hearing a statistic that about 40% of employees have some sort of depression, anxiety, or depression still. So we're dealing with that fallout as well. This has not been easy for anyone.
No, but you know, you should, building on that, I mean, they're rewarding them with incentive travel is great, right? But it's about employee engagement. And what I'm finding now, you know, we've been organizing virtual conferences, etc. But what's actually increasing in our business is that social virtual event team building kind of thing, because the leadership is trying to connect with their team. You know, meetings have gone up 28% in the virtual world because people feel like they need to see their employees, they need to work on a project together, they need to still engaged, whatever it is, having a meeting for lack of having a purpose of having a meeting, so to speak, but that virtual engagement. And so I just did one the other day, and the president was on and he was engaging. We were doing like this movie night trivia thing, and he was being funny and whimsical. What I think leadership doesn't understand is you're building this relationship with your employees on a different level now. So when you go back to the face-to-face at that conference or in the office, you've built this rapport. So you need to now continue to do that, continue to be that person, your authentic self, because I'm afraid that, you know, all of a sudden the wall's going to go up, the gatekeepers are going to go around the president or the senior leadership, and they're no longer going to be available to you. And that could completely backfire on your company culture.
Patrick Lencioni, who wrote The 5 Dysfunction of a Team and a whole bunch of different books, many of you might know him. He said, "I've never worked so hard as a CEO, and I can't imagine that my employees are going to want to return to the way it was, the way we were." So here's question number 2. Would you rather go back to the way we were, business as normal, or would you like to go to some new normal, whatever that is? Or there might be several new normals. Would you rather go back to where you were or go to the new normal? 1 or 2? Everybody's in an agreement here. Okay, Joni, why?
That was a really hard question. But I guess I answered it the way I did because we can only make improvements. We have learned so many lessons in the last year about efficiencies, relationships, networking, intuitiveness, innovation, that we have to use those lessons going forward, and we have to be better going forward, that we can't lose what we learned.
I agree. And I think there's that, you know, again, to quote Aoife and many others who are saying build back better, we've seen so much improvement. And it, you know, even with the clients that I'm working with, they're actually taking time to understand why they're using incentive travel as a, you know, a motivation and engagement piece. So they're looking more at metrics. They're looking more at introducing more incentive travel programs or a younger generation into kind of a, we've always had a kind of incentive travel program. And then with our DMC partners, the 2019 ITII surveys showed that there was actually a diminishing use of DMCs for certain things. And now they've, again, had the opportunity to show their value proposition through, the crisis management and understanding the local health infrastructure, et cetera, and all the other great value that they bring to a program. So I think we've all learned so many skills that will continue to make our industry stronger.
I would agree with both of my colleagues. I think we've learned so many professional skills. We're all producers now. We're all, getting to be masters at hybrid and learning how to create this content and how easy it is to film things. And also, I think on that note, our brain, I don't know about you guys, but my brain hurts some days, which is like, oh my God, I didn't sign up to learn this much, but isn't that what we all want, is for our brain to hurt at the end of the day where we're so stimulated? And I think on the other side of that, we've learned those professional lessons, but we've also learned, hopefully, and to Jen's point, I hope we can keep it, a little bit of the personal lessons on how to balance a little better. And we've talked about it for years, work-life balance, but really, I think the last year really taught us to get up and go for a walk, to reach out, to develop those deeper relationships, because we had to. It wasn't like our company went out of business, everybody's company did. So we were all kind of a little bit in the same position, and we learned a lot. So I think it was good, even though it was painful, and hopefully we'll come out of it better.
The pandemic accelerated a lot of trends, which created a lot of disruption in the marketplace, and out of disruption usually comes innovation. Just curious, this is a mini rapid fire. What are you most excited about innovation-wise in your world? Jen?
It's not really innovation as much as it is an understanding that people are going to really hold us accountable for whatever event we're creating. So we've demonstrated that we can have a panel, a webinar, or a conference, etc. We can't replace incentive travel no matter what you do. So that has to be in person. But for the meetings and events industry, I think it's going to be a creative process, to quote our colleague Tahira with intentional event design. If I'm going to go to a conference and that perception of the inconvenience of travel for a while, as much as I really want to get on a plane, I think people are going to be like, if I can go to a conference and just see a talking head, I'm going to be upset. I want interaction. I want networking. I want engagement. I want a reason for me to be there, no matter if you're talking incentive travel programs with the personalization and the opportunity to network with senior leadership, because quite often, we've all had that client that's like, I don't want to go on a cruise. The employees will be able to find me. Isn't that the point, right? So I think people are going to hold us accountable. So that's going to help lead to creativity and innovation.
That trend was there, and now it's going to explode. Anne-Marie, what do you think? Trend?
Well, I agree with Jen. I think, just all of the new things. And I think the trend, I don't know if it's a trend or not, but I think all of the things we used to take for granted, I am seeing that we so appreciate. I mean, in the programs we're creating not as much of a sit-down dinner, because when people get together, they're going to be crazy for contact, for hugging, for, in a safe manner. And I also think the trend towards safety and cleanliness is a good one, and something that maybe we needed to look at more carefully. And now I think it will be a permanent part, although in different varying degrees, of our meetings going forward. But I think it all kind of boils back to what Jen said about deeper connections and creativity and new ways to do old things. I think our conferences going forward won't be the same kind of conferences they ever were before.
Joni, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'm really taken by what Jen said about accountability, because people are, it's going to take people more to travel now, that as much as we want to, we have figured out how to do all of this virtually. So if I'm going to ask someone to go someplace and to be someplace, it has to be really valuable, whether the content, whether it's chock full of content or it's empty of content and they need that down space too. but it's being accountable for what we're planning and making sure that it's the right content, the right actions for that opportunity.
Well, can I add something too in terms of content? I think our whole world has opened up. And as we've seen with our master, Tahira, who has done this for years before the pandemic, different ways of looking at things, we can now have a speaker who's on the other side of the world, you know, speak to our general session, and it won't be frowned upon. And so it's opened up all kinds of new opportunities for us to make our meetings better and create that value.
Excellent. Last, would you rather? Would you rather work from home or work from the office? Work from home, work for the office.
Both.
Oh,
I didn't think I would like working from home. I had worked from home 1 or 2 days a week, and I'm looking forward to having that mix or that choice between the two. That I do miss our office in downtown Minneapolis. I do miss the direct interaction with people. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to having the choice to stay home and work from home when it's, you know, more convenient for my personal life. And as Jen said earlier, we've learned balance more. So I feel like my personal life is more balanced when I'm working from home. So to just have that choice is what I'm looking forward to.
Anne Marie, you're the T.
Well, that's why I said 1 and 2. Exactly what Joni said, is to have the choice. I love being in the office because of those things, because of interacting, but I like having the freedom to work from home. And there's a lot more grace now when you're working with the client. If your dog barks or if someone walks by in the background, it's not such a faux pas anymore. So everybody's a little more human, but I do really like having the ability to choose and have a combination.
I agree. The dog walking or making sure that everybody has pants on, right? For me, it was working from home. I've worked from home for 15 years. One of the reasons we moved to this small town is so that we could have an outbuilding. So we have an office building. So I do have to get dressed to come down. It's not in my bedroom, thankfully, anymore. It was for many years. It was in, like, one of our staff was in the dining room, Dave was in the living room, and I was in an upstairs bedroom. So we needed that separation. I kind of consider my office being travel because I was traveling 2 to 3 weeks a month. So my colleagues are, you know, we have our team that are spread across Canada. My colleagues in the industry are global. So my office was the travel. And I know that Dave, you know, we've been married for 13 years and we have never been together this much. I'm sure he's encouraging me to jump on the first plane that's available, but it's been great too, because we've been able to get a lot of things done, and it's, you know, there's been some silver linings for sure.
One thing, since all of you kind of like this work at home thing, we know how to work in the office, but if there's one thing that you learned, your hard lesson to learn, what would it be? Jen?
How to turn off, right? If your computer's always there, I'm just going to run back down and do that.
But you have to run someplace,
Yeah.
right? So
not very far.
Anne Marie? I would say close to the same. I mean, keep a schedule. I'm not very good at turning it off because we still do that with the computer there, but I think keeping a schedule is really important to make sure that you get up and do it at the same time and do that.
Joni?
I would say I had to learn to check in with my team every day. I didn't do a good job with that at first, that I wasn't engaged with my team as much as I should have been. And now I make a conscious effort of every day to make a phone call, even if it's quick, but that they know I care about them. They know I know what's going on, and to just make that interaction.
Well, thank you, ladies, for sharing what you would rather do as we move forward into this new normal or series of normals. Thanks.